Well, hello friends, this here's David Bose. Today is November 21, 2015. It's good to see everybody today. Well, another beautiful day in New Mexico. Got a lot of things I want to talk about today. I never really know what I'm going to talk about in these videos. I suppose that shows in some of the presentations. I know a lot of you think I'm kind of scatterbrained. Just thoughts, things I think about. A lot of times what I want to say just sort of comes as I go. I may have an idea to start with. I decide I'm going to talk about something and then it sort of drifts into another subject. I apologize for that, but I think sometimes the most important things that we need to know really don't come from planning. Most of the things in this world cannot be planned. I think that's part of the problem with people these days, with their lives. They've got everything planned out. And they already know what they're going to do. The future is already sewed up. And so if something comes along that's nice or fun or happy, they don't have time for it because they've already got their life all planned out. I think spontaneity is a very important thing, and very few people have that anymore. And we wake up in the morning and we know what we're going to do. We got to go to work. We got to get up at 6, get to work by 7 or 8, take a shower in the morning, get off work, come home, make dinner, the kids get home, we have to do the school work. There's a routine. By the time the weekends get here, our masters want us to be busy all the time, so they've even got our weekends sewed up for us. Right? You've got to go to church on Sundays. For a lot of you, that's your only day off. But they want you being controlled. They want you to, they don't want you to have any time for yourself. Just simply allow thoughts come into your mind. Because if thoughts come into your mind, sometimes those thoughts, if they're not controlled by the elite, can cause you to wake up. A lot of you have been asking me, Dave, what do I do? What can we do to help people? Well, really, friends, there's not much you have to do. Human beings can take care of themselves. The only problem is we're being controlled. So the only thing we've got to do is get people out from under all this control, this mind manipulation. I think some of us we really don't have time to think and be free, because every thought is being controlled by the elite, by the government, by television. There's a lot of young people today, they don't have a mind of their own. First thing they do when they wake up in the morning is plug something into their ear. And if you ask them, well, how are you? What do you like? What's the thing? First thing they'll say is, well, what kind of music do you like? What kind of music do you like? Oh, I like all kinds of music, and I'm listening to music all day long. Well, friends, you're not listening to music, you're listening to propaganda. Most of the music, I don't care if it's country or rock and roll or rap, there's a message. And even if it doesn't have a coherent message, you might not notice it's there. Maybe a little bit cloudy. If you listen to the beat, or actually the spirit of that music, it's probably trying to get you to be controlled, to think the way they want you to think. So, they're probably trying to make you feel that there's not really anything important You're not important. People aren't important. But only selfishness is important. Okay, I want to do it my way, and I don't care what you think, and you know, just we're gonna let go, and we're just gonna, you know, some of you are probably wondering, well, now that's kind of confusing, Dave, because you're always talking about the spirit and control. Now, shouldn't you let go, right? Yeah, we should, but here's the thing. You've got two things that can control you, and actually another third thing. Other people, an outside source, can control you, but in a sense, that's really the flesh, because they're trying to use the flesh to control you. And anyone who's controlled by passions, selfishness, the physical realm, can run into a lot of troubles that way. And that's what music today is trying to do. It's trying to get us controlled by our emotions and our fears and our ignorance, passions, selfishness. There's another thing we can be controlled by, and that's our spirit. And our spirit can be connected to our Father in heaven, and that is love. See, the fruit of the Holy Spirit produces love and joy and mildness and goodness and self-control. See, and gentleness. And these are the things that we're supposed to cultivate. Self-control. Not letting go of yourself. Not just, being selfish. But rather learning to control the physical world. Learning to adapt to the harsh things that go on and overcome these things so that we can find true happiness. Because true happiness is found when we have mastery. When we overcome all these evil things, and the world's not just happening to us and we're responding, but we're controlling the world and we make our own destiny. When you wake up in the morning and you've got your whole life planned out, you got to go to work, you got to go to church, and of course church is just, they're going to tell you what they want you to believe. Everybody stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, sing a little song, say a little prayer, clap your hands, look up into the sky, put your hands up just like this. Okay, now put your hands in your pocket, pull out your money, and put it in the plate. Okay, now you can go home. Friends, that's control. And then they try to use tactics like, well, you're going to go to hell if you don't do everything we've told you. And never mind reading the Bible, but we got a pamphlet, a book, and we want you to read that. See, every one of these organizations have a lot of control. And you've got to go every week. They encourage you to go every week because you see you've got to get your control for the week. Your manipulation. And then when you go home, you're being manipulated by the television, the radio. So friends, what can we do to improve our lives? I suggest that we go outside and get away from all of this. Someplace where the sun's going down or coming up, stars are out, flowers are blooming. Beautiful, beautiful sunny day. And I suggest we go out there and we just learn to be quiet. Because you see, what nature is going to give us, if we just let the world that our Father in heaven created do its thing, we're going to find ourselves right away. See, that's why the Bible tells us we're no part of this world, but even though we live in this physical world, it's the world that man has created around us. It's all this deception, the cities, the cars, the flashy way of our lives, all the selfishness and all the propaganda. That's what we got to get away from. We've got to encourage everyone that we know to trust within themselves that spirit from our Father that's love and compassion and good, not to be controlled from outer, sources, mesmerism that's going on. Anything that involves plugging something in your ear or sitting in front of a television screen for hours, going to some building and sitting in a pew and giving our allegiance to one man and his ideas and being pumped full of his theories. And of course he's just a front man for a religious control. You say, religion's good, Dave, it's a good thing. Why do you think that England has a church, the Church of England? You see, do you think that the government of England wants you to be free, or do you think maybe they wanted to control you? Why do you think Rome has a church? You see, friends, why? Why did they start these churches? Why was there a confusion between the Calvins, see, and the Lutherans? Because you see, one was from a different country, and they wanted to take control. There was a fight going on for your mind, and that fight is still going on today. And until we human beings decide to become free, we're going to continue to be controlled. It's gotten to the point now, friends, where we're not even being controlled by someone's agenda, other than being used to keep people wealthy, keep them in power. You see, they're just trying to sell us stuff. And one of the things they need us to do is to keep going to work, keep buying the cars, keep building the cities bigger, more schools. We got to have more prisons. We got to have more punishments and checks and balances, because you see, if you don't keep controlling people and threatening them, they're going to think, well, we don't need to do this. We can go out in the country and we can grow our own food. We don't need the stores, and we can let our children live with fresh air and play in the frolic in the fields, and we don't need the government. They don't want that to happen. They've got to have the control at every level. So there's one thing we can do, friends, to free ourselves. And it gets, there's far more we're going to talk about in the next coming videos. But one of the most important things that we've got to understand is we've got to be free from all control, from the satanic deceptions. See, the first thing, you're not going to be able to understand everything right away, because you're already manipulated in your mind. You're brainwashed. It's going to take a little while. See, what do you do when you're being, brainwashed and controlled? You've got to get away from the control. You ever seen somebody that's been captured by the enemy, and they've spent years brainwashing them and controlling them and keeping them locked up in the basement? Sometimes when they first get out and they become free, they don't even want to be free. They begin to sympathize with their captors. And that's what's happening, friends. Many of you are beginning to sympathize with the government that's ruling over you, and you'll defend them. It's a big problem. So what are we going to do? First thing we got to do, we got to be free. We've got to receive the Holy Spirit, which is love. We've got to crucify the flesh, which is the passions and the lusts and the selfishness. And we've got to reject those who are trying to use the flesh to control us, and to use our emotions and our all of our passions and deceptions and so forth against us. So this deception is just rampant. We're beginning to believe that we've got everything that goes wrong. We've got some disease, right? Somebody's crazy and running around the street, depressed. Maybe they become violent, so they take him to the doctor, and they say, what's wrong? He's violent, he's acting crazy. And say, oh, well, that's a acting crazy violent disease, right? That's genetic. We got to give them medications for that. How insane, friends. We're becoming so controlled, and our minds are becoming so out of reality, that pretty soon, once they get these new technologies completely established, we're going to be completely controlled, and there's not going to be any way out. So we're going to have to get this message out, because we don't have much time left. We've got to let people be free. We've got to recognize that we're being controlled. We've got to help other people see that, and we've got to get the word out, friends. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, and we'll talk about this again tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day. And this is David Vos. I'm going to sign out. You guys have a great week.